There's a financial meltdown in the house, where the poor are denied and the rich survive. Where'd all the money go? Why am I so poor? Better start waving your Hoover flags around and surrender. Why don't I have no money? What happened? It all started with mortgages, subprime loans, banks lending to homies with credit unknown. The housing market was booming and the prices were rising. Subprime lenders took advantage, unsurprising. Banks collected fees for closing housing deals and sold the mortgages to Wall Street Hill. Wall Street bought the mortgage loans and sold them. Mortgage-backed securities became the money gym. Investors got crazy rich, spurring a housing bubble that increased lending. But here's the trouble. Crib after crib, they started to build, which meant the wealth of homes started to wilt. Then all of a sudden, housing prices dropped, so homies making payments just stopped, and foreclosures were needles, the bubble popped, which brings us to the scam called credit default swap. There was a lack of regulation, led us to a bankrupt nation. Wall Street greed, temptation, it's the taxpayers' obligation. The bad loans firms started to make, they would get them insured. Little risk was at stake. The big dog was the infamous AIG, who insured the firms holding mortgage securities. This exchange is called credit default swap. The reason financial firms went bankrupt and flopped. Insurance hinging on home buyers not to default, and CDS payment was money in the vault. Soon all the firms were in the CDS market, buying, selling insurance. It wasn't legit. The CDS market, worth $60 trillion, made financial firms think they were ballers. Since firms were insured, they needed to lift capital reserves so they could lend out more money, which wasn't observed. The CDS market had no central regulation. Who was insuring who? A faulty foundation. Then home buyers started to default exponentially, and CDS insurance had to be paid out eventually, which increased risk and diminished prosperity. If AIG fell, many firms would potentially. Firms with CDS insurance wrote down a loss, went under capital requirements, which caused the fall of financial firms because of the regulation boss, the SEC, who nailed high banks to a cross. So in comes Treasury and the Federal Reserve to bail out firms who had a CDS punctured nerve, gave them bailout money that they didn't deserve. It's the global economy Paulson tried to preserve. There was a lack of regulation, led us to a bankrupt nation. Wall Street greed, temptation, it's the taxpayers' obligation. There was a lack of regulation, led us to a bankrupt nation. Wall Street greed, temptation, it's the taxpayers' obligation. Mr. Paulson and Treasury, could you bail us out, please? Come on, Bernanke, we're begging on our knees. This CDS explosion is a spreading disease. Our capital requirements are feeling the squeeze. So Wall Street's going to the government for help. The government's buying bad debt to stop the financial melt, and hopes the problem doesn't spread to Main Street too, cause the commercial banks are closing, no more credit for me or you. And foreign governments that follow all of our debt would want to quickly sell it off, which would be a threat to our economy. And foreign countries, less trusting, would never give us foreign money. So one by one, the government bought financial firms, Freddie and Fannie, Indy Mac, AIG, and Bear Stearns, which was supposed to stop another Great Depression caused by a credit crunch, first step in a recession. Banks will stop making loans to people and companies, which would mean no more expansion of the economy, a rising layoff of hard-working employees, then no more spending on goods and commodities. Paulson, tired of putting out fires one by one, wanted one big bailout, cost $700 billion. Giving Treasury a blank check is what Congress voted on, but it's the taxpayers' money, a lifetime obligation. Now the government can buy bad bank assets. Banks will continue loaning and making profits while relief is brought to the worldwide market. It's a damn shame that our money had to solve it.